One of the things that I love to help coach people with is to-do lists and task lists, and how to figure out how to organize them, how to structure them, and how to, more importantly, make sure it gets done. So today we're going to master your to-do list. What's up guys, Lewi here. Today we're going to jump into one of my favorite topics, which is tasks and task management and how to operate in a structure, with the tasks that you have to do every day for your day-to-day business, with the tasks that you have to do to make sure you're going to hit your goals, with the tasks that you have to outsource, and everything in between. Now, the biggest piece of the puzzle here, the biggest thing I teach people is effective task management is breaking it down into tasks that you can actually do. The biggest mistake you make is to put big, ginormous, hairy tasks up there and you're like, I'm going to get after it today. It's only going to take me 3 hours to do. But breaking those down into minimizing tasks is the way to do it. Bite-sized chunks is going to get you actually quicker to the goal rather than trying to do big things at once. So the first thing that you need to do in order to kind of maximize your potential on this is to pick which kind of to-do list you want to use. Now, I actually use a few different ones depending on what I'm working on, what scenarios I'm going through, where I'm at. Like I use a paper book right here. This is for like my power list for the day. I also use it as a bullet journal, and I always have it sit next to me right here to take notes on different things. So I use this, but I also use Asana for my VAs. I also use Notion for a lot of tasks. So you can do it digital or paper, whichever one works with you. A lot of people who are like visual learners love a paper to-do list because you can literally score it off like this, and it feels great to do that, and you feel very accomplished when you have like a full book of like days of tasks that you've knocked off. So the Power List by Andy Frisella is probably my favorite way to do it on paper. Now, of course, the only drawback is if you lose this, everything disappears, right? Of course, you can make new tasks, but you can't look back on your history and see which tasks that you've done, not done, how your days went, what things you missed, so on and so forth. Now, like I said, digital ones, I use a ton because you can do it cross-platform. You can use it on your computer, on your tablet, on your phone, the same exact app. So if it's Notion, if it's Trello, if it's Asana, if it's Todoist, whatever it is that you use, you can find one that you use that syncs over all your apps. So you can use it when you're planning in the office, you can use it when you're out and about on your phone, whatever. So a lot of people gravitate more to digital. It just doesn't have that same effect when you scratch it off. When you like click it to check it, it's just a little different. The other beautiful thing about digital lists, which I love, is that you set reminders. So you can be like working away doing things and then ding, remember you've got to do this task. That's a game changer, especially for me as someone who's like all over the place. If I don't have things dialed in and synced, that's a big one. With the paper, it's not like the journal is going to be like, hey, you need to check this off. It's never going to remind you. So using digital ones for me is really, really great. And I keep this one here just in case I'm missing something or if I want to write something down. So you can figure out which way works best for you. I would say 8 times out of 10, it's digital. Whether it's physical or digital, what I want to jump into quickly is how to effectively organize a to-do list. And we've talked a lot about this before, but let's pull up the whiteboard here and just have a look. Obviously, the first thing you want to do, what I'm about to say, is the Eisenhower Matrix. So you want to draw these boxes out. Urgent, not urgent. Important, not important. And then we're just going to draw it like this and this. So we're not going to go super in depth into the Eisenhower. You can watch this video right here if you want to break it all down. But basically, box number 1 right here is for urgent, important tasks that you need to be doing. Number 2 is for important but not urgent tasks that are going to build your business forward, that you need to get to and work towards on your goals. Box number 3 is not important but urgent. These are things you should be delegating. And box number 4 is not important and not urgent, things that you should be deleting and get rid of in your business. So the Eisenhower Matrix right there is the biggest piece of the puzzle to start with. And what this is going to do is when you start to write out your tasks here, all you have to do now is look at them and put them into their respective boxes right here, this one here, this one here, and so on and so forth. And then you can only work on box number 1 and box number 2, and 3 and 4 go somewhere else. So then this starts to maximize your efficiency because you're only going to be working on like a third of the tasks. So that's the prioritization strategy for the Eisenhower. Like I said, watch that video in depth and you can see it a little bit more clear. Now, what I also like to do is to break down tasks. Like I said before, breaking them down into smaller chunks is going to help you drastically to get more done. So you might start a new thing. So say it's you want to do TikTok, okay? You want to get on the TikTok platform, start posting on there, start doing things like that, okay? So how do we actually break that down and prioritize what you actually do? So let's put it in here. So let's just say TikTok. Okay. So a lot of people will just attack this in one shot and be like, okay, I'm just going to start. I'm going to open an account. I'm going to start it. I'm just going to start posting. And like, there's nothing wrong with that because taking action is always better than taking no action at all. But you got to think like you're right here. You have no TikTok right here and you want to get to here, and that's like done. Like TikTok is like now up and running and it's great. There is a big gulf right here that you really have to start working towards. And like I said, if you're doing this in a regular kind of way, you'll just try and take a straight shot and just try and get to that person straight away off the bat. We have to do it a little more strategically because what typically happens is you'll maybe start and you'll maybe like get an uptick because you're like, okay, this is awesome, and then it's going to drop off, and then it's going to come here and here and here, and maybe up again and then down again, and we're going to end up somewhere around here, which is not what we want. We want to get to that goal. So breaking down this task strategically is actually what you want to do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to list out everything that you're going to need to do to make TikTok work for you. Okay, so let's just put it over here. So first thing, obviously, you're going to have to start an account. Can't spell. Then you're going to have to do your branding. Make sure it's consistent with all your other platforms. Then you're going to have to think about content. Then scheduling. Then engagement. And then you've probably got another bunch of stuff that I can't really think of off the bat right now, but you can see like this one task of like TikTok has now broken down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 items, whatever that is. So now instead of just trying to take a straight shot, we want to start breaking this up into here. Boom. So now what we can do is just start to attack these individually as separate tasks, instead of trying to do everything at once. And this is effectively how you can truly do task management. Once I've done number 1, bing, it goes to number 2, and then to number 3, then to number 4, and so on, so on, so on, so on, until we get to our goal. So this is how I do things. I break tasks into the smallest little piece of the puzzle that I can possibly do for everything, like everything at all. Even something like scheduling, right? Like this task right here. So I might look at that and say, okay, is scheduling like something that you just do? That's just a task. It's like, well, no, I have to break that up into its own set of tasks. So I have to look at, okay, what are the best strategies for posting? Okay, what apps can I use? So repurpose.io is a really good one that I can just schedule everything through. Who to follow to copy their patterns. So there's a lot of different tasks. You can see like all these different ones, like the branding, the content, they all can be like put into their own like subtasks and mini tasks, and you have to really break it down like this. And like you should see like my task list, everything has like a drop down, little folder that tells me more things to do. Why? Because if I just try and do like big chunks and tasks at one time, I'm going to get overwhelmed. So I need to break things down into small little bites that I can do consistently. And if you're consistent with it, you're going to achieve way more than you would have if you tried to just do it all at once. And then the last thing I do really to look at this is I figure out, is this a project task or a deadline task? So there's a big difference here. A project is something that's in quadrant number 2 in the Eisenhower Matrix, right? It's a project for the business that is going to help me get towards my goals. Now these don't have deadlines unless it's like a quarterly goal, but I want to make sure that I am good to go. So project-based tasks can be done whenever I have time in the calendar, okay? So whenever there's time, I'm going to go ahead and do those, okay? So if it's like I'm looking at my calendar tonight and I have space tomorrow, I'm going to slot those in. Now obviously deadline tasks are more of a quadrant 1, okay? Urgent and important, and I need to be doing these immediately, okay? And that's the biggest difference between these. These right here should be put into your schedule when you have the time to do them, and these guys should be done immediately right away. So right here, these guys tasks, and then from there these guys, okay? And that's how you should be operating inside of tasks, and how you'll find that if you effectively work them this way, you'll see a lot more action taken and you'll see a lot more outcome from your tasks. So that's some of the tools and things that I do to work on my to-do list. Like I said, it's a super important thing, whether you're doing it digital, whether you're doing it on paper, what tools you use to make sure you do this. Whatever works for you, just do it that way. I mean, Andy Frisella uses a notebook like this, and he's worth billions of dollars, and he uses that every single day because he's a paper guy. He likes the way it feels. He doesn't like apps and good stuff like that. For me, I love using Notion. Notion is a little more complicated system, but it works really well for me. But for you, it might be a Todoist, maybe Trello, Asana, whatever you use, get in there, familiarize yourself with it, and whatever feels good to you, that's the one just to get using, okay? But this system of prioritizing your tasks first, then breaking them down into subtasks, and then executing will get you further than you have been doing before. So I encourage you to experiment with all these strategies. Let me know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, if you've been doing this stuff before. If you haven't, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you are doing to get further with your real estate career in terms of executing on tasks. And if you haven't subscribed already, the newsletter is below. There's a link to get my newsletter every single Monday on topics like this every single week. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that button and we'll see you on the next one.